My name is Rajab Kabir Ogiri. I hail from Doma local government area of Nasarwa State. I hold bachelor's degree from the Department of Polymer and Textiles Engineering, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. I'm 28 years old. Thank you.
You are welcome, Mr. Magaji. Right?
No, Rajab Kabir.
Rajab Kabir Ogiri.
Ogiri. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Let's know about your manifesto.
Okay. I'm standing here today as an aspirant for the office of the youth governor to represent Nasarwa State in the forthcoming the next presidential reality show. And I'm here with 6 simple agendas, starting with the security. My government, when elected, would give topmost priority on security. And I have few methods of which I intend to approach the security issue of the state. If any one of you is from Nasarwa State, will understand that Nasarwa State is an heterogeneous state, that people comes from different backgrounds. For one to maintain security, an issue of security, you must bring the people together united. My first item in the security aspect is going to be a situation where I will bring our diverse tribes together, since we are bounded by common history, so that we will celebrate friends with one another and will also perfect our cordial relationship. Secondly, I will also engage our traditional rulers, where each traditional ruler will be held responsible of the security architecture and the security situation of his own domain. Traditional rulers know people at the grassroots. They know the criminals because that is their terrain. So traditional rulers will be engaged in policy making and leadership structure of the state. The third in the security aspect is going to be the empowering the security agencies. Empowering the security agencies in the sense that all our security agencies, the army, the police, even the local security agencies, that is the vigilante and hunters, are going to be given a consideration. That is machines, vehicles, and all items they needed to carry out their proper operations will be provided to them as a governor when elected. Another thing in the issue of the security, it's also giving everybody an equal treatment, so that the entire tribes of Nasarwa State, which we have about 17 or so indigenous tribes of the state, will have sense of belonging and they will tend to live in peace. Next in my agenda is issue of education. Briefly, as the popular saying goes, to kill a nation is to deprive them by good access to education. If people are not educated, be it Western and religion aspect, they will not be progress, they will not be development. And from my own observation, I had been a local man all through my life. I am a true son of Nasarwa State. I stayed all my life in Nasarwa State, so I know the problem of our people at the grassroots. And I understand that our education, most importantly at the primary and secondary level, there is nothing to write home about. And this is as a result of ownership, because I feel the government are not giving priority, in terms of ownership. You see a government will come and put a structure for a school, but because there is no ownership of that very school, before you know, the windows and everything will be removed. I will ensure that I engage every community that a school is situated to have ownership of that very school. Another thing is meritocracy, because for you to give a quality education, you need to have good teachers. There is no way you talk about quality education without having good teachers. First thing I will prioritize is during the selection of school teachers from primary to tertiary institution level, I will ensure that I bring a panel with people with unquestionable integrity, where people that are duly qualified, that have passion for the job, will be given appointment. It will start you to note that you go to a school where you are expected to have about 15 to 20 teachers. You go there, you meet about 3 or 4. Very unfortunate. People are taking the job not because they have passion for the job, but because they want to have it as a means of gaining something. I want a state where there will be competition in our education level. Another thing that will also give a priority is the welfare of the staff, the teachers. For you to encourage somebody, you must make sure that that very person is not hungry. If a person is hungry, he cannot give anything. I will ensure that when it comes to payment of their salaries and their arrears will be paid duly. At the past, there was issue of percentage in Nasarwa State, where school teachers are being paid in percentage. How will a society develop in that aspect? I will ensure that school teachers are given all their rights duly and promptly, and their welfare is going to be prioritized. And I will make sure that there is going to be reward system for our teachers at all levels. Next is to have a conducive environment for teaching and learning process. Of course, teaching and learning process used to be effective when both the teachers and the student are secured and safe and have a very conducive learning process. In that, I will ensure that my government, when elected, will build sufficient classrooms through that partnership, or let me say ownership by the community. I will ensure that any structure or edifice being constructed by government is being taken care of and being protected by community. That's through community engagement. That's one aspect of education. Next is going to be on the aspect of healthcare system delivery. Of course, they said health is wealth, which is very true. I will ensure that our hospitals and clinics, that is the healthcare service delivery at primary and secondary level, since we don't have tertiary in Nasarwa State, there is no teaching hospital. So I will ensure at primary and secondary level, people are being treated well, and machines and facilities, modern machines, will be provided, so that if a person have any problem, before you give him referral, you make sure at that very unit you have tried your own best. Where we have existing structures in hospitals, we will try to see that we modernize the existing structure, or we add additional rooms, beds and other things. Where we don't have, in some places, most especially the remote places, we will ensure that those places have clinics that people will be receiving at least a primary healthcare delivery system. And of course, a welfare of the medical personnel will be prioritized in such a way that each medical personnel will have these feelings that this very work I'm doing, or the service I'm doing for humanity, the government also have my back. If at all I should, because while you are working as a medical personnel, you are exposed to many dangers. That is, you will have this security of hazard allowance. If you are exposed to any any pandemic, the government will make sure that it takes very good care of you, so that you also give back to the society. And infrastructures, just as I've earlier mentioned, you go to the hospital, you see a hospital that is meant to accommodate, let's say 50 people or 20. The bed that is meant to be 20, you see that very hospital is having over 50 patients. Some patients are receiving their treatment just at the a flow, which is very, very bad. When elected, I will ensure that our government and our hospitals have a very conducive environment for healthcare delivery system. And next in my agenda quickly is going to be on issue of agriculture and mining. Through time and history, people of Nasarwa State are known for agricultural activities. Some are doing it in small scales, while some are doing it in commercial purpose. My government will give priority to agricultural sector. I come from a place that is predominantly by a farmer. I was brought up by a community leader that is an active farmer. So I know the problem of farmers and the problem of farming activities at the grassroots. first I will do in issue of agriculture is to ensure that our farmers feel safe and secured, that our land should be secured first, because everybody is aware of the farmers and herders crisis in Nasarwa State, where as a farmer you feel scared to even go to the farm, because you feel when you go to the farm, coming back is not assured. So I will make sure that our land are secured, and that will happen by engaging the farmers and the herders. As I've stated earlier, that I was brought up by a community leader, I was opportune to listening to some clashes of the farmers and herders that is being settled before my father. So what he normally do is to ensure that the leaders of the Fulanis, the Aldo and other leaders of the Fulanis are held responsible of any action taken by the youth of the Fulanis. And of course, from our own side, we the Alago people, he ensured that you will not cheat a Fulani man unjustly, because issue of injustice used to bring problem. You see a situation where a Fulani man will disrupt an item of 100,000, or let me say 50,000. But when he's being charged to court or police station, you see they will bail him, or they will charge him of something worth more than 500,000. And in a tradition of Fulani man, he feels he has the money, he will pay, but the next thing he will retaliate. So that sense of justice, when you ensure there is justice, at least you will be able to cope the situation. And in area of mining, Nasarwa State as a home of solid minerals is blessed by abundant natural resources. Very unfortunate, just few of the individuals are taking ownership of that very resources that is meant to be for the good of a common man, for me and for all citizens of Nasarwa State. If elected, I will ensure all activities that are carried out in the mining sector of the state first are carried out legally. That is, any person that will venture into mining aspect will register with having the registration with either CAC or Federal Ministry of Mining Development, or so and so. You will come and register with Nasarawa State Ministry of Environmental Development, because they are the ministry that are taking care of the mining sector of the state, so that our natural resources that is blessed to us by God will be harnessed judiciously and will be utilized, so that in that the youth of the state will have something doing. By doing that, it will create job, and the state, it will increase the internally generated revenue of our state. Another thing is issue of empowerment. Issue of empowerment is one thing that is bedeviling our society every here and there, because they said an idle man is a devil's workshop. Anytime a youth wakes up and he has nothing to do, next thing he will think of is to survive by crook or by hook. My administration, considering the nature of hardship in securing white collar job, my administration, when elected, will ensure that some skills acquisition are brought on board, so that women and youth are going to be trained on different skills, and after the training, a startup package is going to be given for people to be self-reliant, and people that already have an established business are going to be supported either with grant or soft loan that will support their business for what do you call it, for sustenance.
Okay, in brief.
Yeah.
In brief.
Yeah.
And I mean brief. Under 1 minute, can you please tell us what you intend doing for infrastructure development?
What I intend doing for infrastructural development is to ensure that we construct good quality roads, bridges, schools, hospitals that will stand for test of time for the use of our people.
All right, thank you very much.
In addition to it,
yes,
most of you are faced with this question. You don't explain to us to an extent as a governor. I expect you, because in the nearest society where you come from, Nasarawa State,
yes,
I don't think we have more than 5 industries there. and there are also infrastructural development that the government is supposed to bring forth to the people in Nasarwa State. And from your speech and manifesto here, you said Nasarwa State is well known, is an agricultural state,
Yes.
a production state, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Don't you think Nasarawa State equally need industries that will employ most of these youth that are growing up and are not finding things to do? And you rightly said that a youth that grown up and is finding it difficult to survive with, did you put, I don't the language you use, you said that the youth we do sort
We'll try
things,
to survive
we
by
survive
all
by
means.
all means.
Yeah.
Now, if you have industry that can employ like 3 industry that can employ up to 8,000 youth in Nasarawa State, don't you think is an advantage? Because from what Mr. President just asked you now, I don't think you have that idea on you. You're concerned about constructing bridge, construction of road, and building estates in your infrastructure.
Yes.
Don't you think industries also will serve as a means of solving the economic development problems to the youth in your state?
Thank you very much, and thank you for this wonderful question. You know, in every governance there is short-term plan and there is long-term plan. I come by virtue of the training and studies, as I earlier stated, that I, from Department of Polymer and Textiles Engineering, I knew how the struggle or the process for industry to come to be. One, for you to bring people that will invest in your state, you must make sure that that state is secured. That is why in my first manifesto, I made mention of security. That is one. Another issue is infrastructure. I was emphasizing on the road because people will invest when they have access. You know, most of the raw materials, one of the first consideration in localizing an industry is the availability of raw materials.
Yes.
So when you talk about raw materials, you will mostly find raw materials are found in remote places. When you talk of our what do you call it, mineral resources, the quarks, the and other mineral deposits, you will see they are in a very far places. Like in Nasarwa, there is a place called Tunga in our local government. For you to go to that Tunga, there is a certain space that you have to follow bike, and an investor will feel discouraged, you know, to invest. That's why the government would firstly prioritize that the entire state should be secured first. And another thing, infrastructure comes in, then you invite in investors. This is very brief and short because of the time. But of course, as a governor, maybe in your first term, second time, then you will think of, you know, industrializing the state. I bring issue of what do you call it, of employment, because the employment, you have to start at a certain level. I was opportune to did my IT in the Nigerian Institute of Leather Science and Technology. That's Nile Zaria. So that gave me light where I served in the Department of Footwear, what do you call it, production. That gives me light on how, if you want to make a palm like this, what it will cost you, ranging from the sole, the marco, and the cover, what it will cost you, and at the end of it, if you are done, what you are expected to gain. I feel there are many little businesses that will be earning somebody a means of livelihood, even more than the federal government job that people are you know, what do you call it, dying for.
Mr. Rajab.
Yes, sir.
Kabir Ogiri.
Ogiri, sir. Yes, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're taking us back to security.
Yes, sir.
I have a question to ask you.
Okay,
or rather,
sir.
putting it to you. You made mention of peace. That is a major concern in a state of which everybody is aware and need peace. Now, in security, you try to resolve most of the conflict in the state before building peace.
Yes.
Now, in resolving conflicts and developing peace, I didn't hear you talk about adequate distribution of resources in your state as a governor, which is the major problem most youths are agitating today for their own state.
When
Because we have cases where inadequate distribution of resources are traced by the leaders of Nigeria today, and several areas of Nigeria today are agitating that they need their state, and by so doing there is no peace in the society. So how do you intend handling adequate distribution of resources before you cannot talk about involving the agencies that will handle peace and conflict resolution, such as you call them in your manifesto here, you call them federal government agencies, such as the civil what you mention. So how do you the supporting security agencies?
Yes.
That is how you titled it here.
Yes.
So now, how do you intend distributing your resources so that an ordinary a gunman will not be in Akwanga complaining that you have favored the Gwari man in Nasarwa state, while the Ibra man in Toto local government will also be complaining that you have only done single road for them as a conflict?
Good. When you go through my manifesto, and I clearly stated that each and every tribe will be carried along, because by virtue of national service, I served in Federal Character Commission, and that have given me an insight of Nigeria as a whole. I feel most of our problems comes from injustice and inability to equally distribute resources, be it infrastructural resources or human capital resources. I clearly stated that each and every tribe would be carried along in governance and policy drafting. That will give each state, each tribe of the state, and a gunman will feel secured and will feel he's carried along. A Gwagi man, a Koro, a Migli man, a Lalago man, Tiv man, what have you of the state would surely feel that the state belongs to them, and the government are carrying them in all activities of the state when it comes to distribution of the appointment or infrastructural development. There is going to be justice. When you read the last statement, or let me say almost the last paragraph, I said, if elected as a governor, I'm going to lead with utmost sincerity and with the fear of God. I will ensure that people of Nasarwa State are being treated and governed fairly, justly, and equitable in every aspect of development. I was opportune to attend Unity School, so I understand unity of Nigeria as a country. I understand what it means for you to bring person from all tribes of the state to come together to celebrate this very country. I always tell people, I don't have an alternate state. Nasarawa is the only place I have. If Nasarawa stop existing, I will have no place to call home. That is why during this election, during this 2023 election, in my pages, my social media pages, my advocacy, if you permit me, I read one, which, okay, thank you. Let me refer to my Facebook page. You may wish to search. That's Rajab Hassan Kabir Ogiri. The Hassan and Kabir is what they call it. It's attached. On the 2nd of March, I posted with the title Nasarawa mu amana mu, because of what I saw online, what our youth posted because of the then gubernatorial election. People felt a person of their religion or their ethnicity must emerge by fire by force, and that drew me to write this article. I read, with your kind permission, sir, Nasarawa mu amana mu as a title. It's with the heavy heart, worry about Nasarawa, that I'm sending this message to you, my dear brothers and sisters. If people from other states decided to preach disunity and religious division, that should not be our calling. If we join them in this horrendous act, believe you me, the damages will not be funny. What do we stand to gain if our fellow indigenous turn on each other and begin large-scale religious killings against each other? How and where do we start when practically almost all indigenous family of the state have people from different faiths? Let us not give platform to the worst among us, the extremists and the bloodthirsties. It wasn't politics that brought us together. Therefore, politicians shouldn't divide us. If any act of violence starts now, they know where to go with their family and live in peace. Of course, the victim will surely be me and you. The playbook is written and tested. We saw it in Plateau and Taraba. It wasn't a film script, but a reality of war. Nasarwa is the only place we have, hence we must protect it at all costs. Just as our anthem states, a land our forefathers strive for, in hard work, dedication. Nasarwa, where our treasure heritage flows, and together we can move mountain. In the end, we all die, but while we live, we write our legacy. Let posterity not remember us as people that destroy this land of our pride and legacy that's supposed to be cherished forever. We live in digital age. Record lasts forever. Rajab Kabir Ogiri, 2nd March 2023. This was a piece I wrote in regards to my day state, Nasarwa. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Kabir Ogiri.
Yes, sir.
As a peace ambassador,
yes,
and a governor of Nasarawa State,
yes, sir.
you made mention of traditional rulers
Yes.
playing role in your government.
Yes.
As part in resolving, in building peace
Yes.
and unity.
Mm.
Now, I don't know how the traditional rulers will play their role.
Okay. The traditional rulers will play their role. As I've told you, I was brought up by a community leader, and he is a traditional ruler, a district head. My father at the time was Madakin Duma, that's second in command. Apart from king, then he leads. The traditional rulers are playing a critical role because our traditional institute have this esteem respect within the people in their locality. Many situations happen where a police will call certain individuals. Individuals will not honor that invitation, but they do honor that of the traditional rulers. I know of a case that people will go to the court, either a family issue, maybe between a husband and a wife. They will go to the court, and my late father of blessed memory will tell them, go and withdraw that case and come back, let's solve it here as family. And because of that respect they have for him, of course they will withdraw the case and the case will be solved as family. So bringing the traditional rulers on board, they are the closest people, they are the closest to the people as grassroots. They know all the village heads, the district head, the Meungwa, and everybody. So when you bring them on board and you give them responsibility that if I hear PIM in this locality, make sure your what do you call it, the turban you are wearing, you lose it. That very person will come to his right senses. If there is anything, before anything, he's going to summon the district head, the village head, the area heads, and whatsoever to ensure there is peace and order in a community. A community is usually bedeviled by sons and daughters of that community. You hardly find any issue of insecurity that is engineered and carried out by a complete outsider.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Ogiri.
Yes, sir.
What I wrote here, the question I wrote here is relating to what Mr. Sam was saying.
Yes.
Spending more time on that. Concerning the traditional rulers,
Yes.
how do we engage them? And there is a problem I'm having with politicians and people in power. That when such kind of thing happen, maybe incident happen in the community, and a traditional ruler we can inform and call the person in charge or the governor that please, this is what is happening in my community. It is quite unfortunate that the governor
The response.
will not even respond to the call, and nothing will be done. So how do you think that you can make it possible?
Okay. Thank you very much for this wonderful question. One thing as a leader, for you to succeed, lies on the ability of you to assemble men and women of goodwill that will help you doing the job. By virtue of your position as a governor and by nature of the activities that surround office of the governor, you may not, I'm not saying you will not, you may not be opportune to pick and respond to all calls at a time or chat due to your commitment. that is why division of responsibility. Your own as a leader is to make sure those people that you are assigned responsibility, you hold them accountable for all they are doing. Be it a commissioner of police, be it what do you call it, your advisor on security or whatsoever. If there is any outbreak of the law, of course, as a government, you will hold that very person that you give the responsibility of that security, what do you call it, responsible. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Mr. Ogiri.
Yes, sir.
Kabir.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you have held any leadership position before in your society where you come from. From your manifesto, it's not stated here that you have held any leadership position.
Okay.
You are aspiring for a governorship.
Yes. I held different responsibility right from growing up in primary school. Throughout my stays in primary school, I was a class monitor. As I've told you, I was brought up by a community leader, and that have given me the sense, or let me say, responsibility of leadership. Correct? And I am the first son of the house. So growing up, I have little siblings that are looking up to me. Always I tell myself, growing up, that these younger ones are looking up to me. I have responsibility of protecting our father's name and also setting the good precedent for them. That is one. In primary school, in my final year, I was a class, I was a games prefect. And when I went to secondary school, in secondary school level, that's Federal Science and Technical College, Doma, which was a unity school, as I clearly stated. I was an assistant labor prefect, that is one. I was a secretary general of Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, MSSN. I was a vice president of Mathematics and Computer Club, and I was a clerk of drama, press and drama club. That is at secondary school level. When I gained admission into Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, we used to have Nasarwa State Student Association that is not that active in ABU Zaria. So when I came on board, first thing I did was to identify with the leadership at B. As a level 1 student, of course, I focused on my primary assignment, which is the academics. In level 2, I aspired to be a senator that will represent my faculty, that's Faculty of Engineering at the NASA. In level 3, I looked at, okay, let me be part of the executive arm to contribute my own quota. And I look at it, which office that is not a big office but hold a lot of activities that will impact. It was a director of social. I aspired for the director of social. I contested with a brother, one Musa from Mwamba, and by the glory of God, I won. I was a director of social. During my time, each state at the end of second semester used to have week. Nasarwa State had never had. So when we went for Congress, few of us, I suggested that, look, we come from Nasarwa State and we must identify that we come from Nasarwa State. Let's have a cultural display. People were like, Bamudea power. I said, no, it's not about Bamudea. It's about the few of us.
In English, what does that mean?
That's what.
In English.
Okay, sorry, please, I was carried away. Bamudea meaning we are not plenty, you know. Then I was like, it's not about the quantity, but the quality of what we are going to present. If any one of you is from Nasarwa, maybe you are familiar with Madidi.
Are you familiar with Madidi?
Madidi is a local food that, so long you are from Nasarwa State, that food is just like gari in Nigeria. That you can eat it like that, you can eat it with sugar, you can eat it with soup, you can eat it with pepper. It's just like gari. So I said we should have a cultural display at Madidi that have draw attention of people from the far north that don't know what Madidi is. Yes, sir.
You have a very wonderful manifesto, I must confess. With my concern, when you are going for a governorship contest, and I just checked the portal and I see that you don't have a vote.
Yes. Good. I wanted, after everything, to bring a suggestion. You know, when the vote started, what actually discouraged me is the fact that start to solicit vote from people, maybe sending them the link, and you are asking a person to vote with money. I feel I feel this television and radio station can do better. Any person that is contesting for a political position.
There is a lay down by
Okay.
the management of SRT.
Okay.
It's either you choose to come under the platform or not to choose. The
Okay.
management of SRTV are based on
Okay.
and they feel, and which we also agree with them that a vote carries 15 naira, which is not too much.
At all.
And do you want to tell me if you want to go for a national position?
Sir,
And-
before you talk, let me give my point. Let it not be like it's your point that I want to use. Please let me give my
Okay.
point. I talked to Mr. Kenneth.
Yeah.
I said, why not to have a form, you know, at a flat rate that each and every contestant, because if you are in recent election, I contested for member state assembly.
We understand. You see, everybody, every management has he or her own way of doing things, and it is expected that anybody who wants to run under the management should abide
By the rule.
By the rules.
It's okay, sir.
We also, as judges, also feel the management should do that, but since we understand where they are heading to, we have no choice.
Actually, I'm short of words, you know, to appreciate the SRTV for this wonderful initiative. That is the initiative of bringing the diverse youth of Nigeria together to think of a way forward for the leadership and responsibility of the country in the nearest future. I feel very honored and delighted to be here, and most importantly, the interactive session that I learned, and to the judges, job well done. I thank you so sincerely for not tempering justice with mercy in your dealings, and for also drawing my own attention to some issues that are very critical. I thank you very much, and it is my prayers that God will continue to bless SRTV and to bless all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and we wish you the best.